another challenge was that now I went from this guy being my friend to now this, because we started our dating relationship with the idea that you are the one and we're working towards marriage.
Yeah.
So because of that, it wasn't just like dating to see how this goes. It was dating to forever, with the purpose of forever. Yeah. So because of that, I told you guys I have this fear of abandonment. Now I have to factor this person into my life as a forever factor. And that was scary for me. Not just that I was seeing him as a forever factor, but also, man, if I ever had to leave him because of something, it would be really difficult. So that made me feel very vulnerable. So, because in my mind, in every relationship, I'm always thinking about what is the exit? What is my deal breaker? Whether it's a friendship or whatever it is, whether it's a job, whatever it is, I'm always okay leaving things behind. And I'm always okay breaking things off. So this is a first for me.
Hi, I'm Alex.
And I'm Grace. We are two trauma survivors who are married
and just learning how to love, grow, and heal together.
Thank you for joining our podcast, Love and Grace.
Hey, y'all. So last time we talked about being friends with a person that's also a trauma survivor. This time we're going to be talking about dating. So we're just going to jump right into it. It's not a lot of intro because you already got the intro. Hey, what's happening?
Hey. And so this series, being in a relationship with a trauma survivor, it's just really interesting because I feel like it's something that you and I never I'm sure people were in relationship with before, had experienced different things. And in fact, I know it, but I think this was like the first time we were just very conscious of the fact that we were trauma survivors and we, just really had to address and process each other's trauma in our relationship. Yeah. So, speaking of trauma, I feel like we said that word a lot and without really giving a definition of what that is. I'm a trauma trainer, so I have like an hour and a half version of what is trauma. So I'm gonna just stick it to my short version. So my short version of a definition of trauma is it's a distressing experience or event that has a lasting physical, psychological, and emotional impact on you. Whether or not there is a physical injury, it can still have an impact on you physically. For example,
mentally,
having physically.
Oh, okay.
Having a panic attack is a physical experience. It's also a mental experience, an emotional experience, but it's deeply physical. So trauma incorporates all three, even if there is no visible injury. So that's my definition of trauma.
Okay.
That's my shortened version.
Short.
Of my hour and a half training that I usually do.
Okay, so let's just jump into it. How did we start dating? So we were friends and then we just started dating.
Well, you tell your side and I'll tell my side.
Oh yeah, because yours is longer, way longer.
It is not. Okay.
It's more in depth. It has more emotion. It has, not more emotion. You just, I love you,
Go tell your side first. Tell your side first, okay?
So basically, we were friends. We were getting closer and closer. Like we were like getting more intimate, like not necessarily like physically, but more like, okay, I'm in this with her. Like we're like enmeshed with each other. And I'm like, God, I've already had like, situations where I felt like somebody was the one and it hasn't worked out. And I don't want to mess this relationship up. I don't want to mess this friendship up. I haven't even thought about her in this way. But now I'm like, okay, God,
what is this?
What is this? What am I doing? How is this going to work? And like, I'm not going to say anything. So I got to a point where I was liking all the I would tell her that I'm siphoning all the girlfriend vibes from her, but not reciprocating it with a relationship. And basically just like girlfriend stuff is like, oh, can you come to the store with me, or can you come buy help me buy this car, or come with me while I'm buying the car.
I mean, to be fair, we were doing this type of stuff when we were friends. Like, we were running errands together. You went with me when I bought my car. So to be fair, it was things that we were already doing together as friends. But because both of us were going through this experience where we were seeing each other differently, it kind of had a different vibe. Yeah. So the things we're doing as friends came with a different weight to it. Yeah. You know, so I think that's pretty much, from my side of it, it was like a click. And once that click happened and I prayed about it and I felt a confirmation from God, it was like, well, let me just step back and continue this friendship and wait for him to approach me. So it was a period of time of me just trying to figure out how to just stay in this friendship without pushing it to be more than what it was. Meanwhile, I was growing physically, mentally, just into like this different woman. I was not the same woman I was when we weren't friends. Yeah, me neither. And which was kind of strange for Alex, because he was still interacting with me as if I was that same girl, but I had done so much healing. I had become more confident about certain things about my appearance, how I was dressed. Like, it was just a whole different, for me, it was just a whole different me. And I was starting to outgrow our friendship. Yeah. And I think you felt that.
Yeah, real quick. I think it's very, this has just popped in my head just now. When somebody that is really, really close to you is growing, it's really difficult to see that. Like, it's really difficult to like kind of approach them in the way that approach them or interact with them in the way that they are growing with the person that they are.
Because you're used to seeing them a certain way.
Right. So I get comfortable. So I get comfortable with what the situation is, how this is going to be. So if something changes, I'm not adverse to it, but it takes me a little bit to like, okay, so this is what this is. So let me get comfortable again with what the situation is now. Yeah. So I think it was really interesting that you would say, like, you would say that I'm different now, Alex.
I was. I would say that. And by the time he got to the point where he was ready to even talk about the fact that our relationship was different, and he was ready to have like a upfront, like a direct conversation about it. By the time he got to that point, mentally, I was already felt like I'd outgrown the friendship. And well, if he's not the one, then I'm open to other options. That's how I was.
She was actually dating somebody else.
I was not dating somebody else.
Not dating, but like you dance with somebody else, Grace.
Okay, it's not the same thing. Whatever. I was open to other options, just to say. I was open to other options. And so
dance with somebody else.
Was that a factor in our
yeah,
and how quickly
I ain't gonna lie, it kind of was. Not necessarily not a big huge one, but it was like, okay, well, she's really like out here thinking about giving her number to other dudes, and like okay, I didn't throw my hat in, but like, you should recognize who I am. You understand me? Recognize what the greatness in front. Okay, but yeah, so there was a factor. Like once we had an upfront conversation, I was like, okay, you were giving me signs, man. You were giving me so many signs.
That was your ring hitting the chair. That was so loud.
You were giving me signs. And like, it was just like, what was it? What was the song you played on the piano? Unthinkable.
It's just a beautiful song. I learned to play on the piano.
So think about this, right? Get this visual. Catch this visual.
If you felt some type of way because I was singing Unthinkable, you know.
I'm not even talking to you right now. I'm talking it down. So if you are having feelings for a person and somebody's singing, I was wondering maybe would I make you my baby? if we do the unthinkable, would it make us look crazy? What are you saying to me at this point? God, what do you want me to do with this woman?
I just learned to play the piano. I was just learning a song that was in my heart that I loved. You know,
send me videos saying, would it be
I was I was sending him videos of me practicing piano, which, by the way, is not
uncommon in our relationship.
Whatever. He would send me videos of him playing piano as well. So, anyways, so we're dating.
So all right. So we started dating. So what other challenges did we?
You prayed.
Yeah. Okay. Boom. Okay. So I prayed about it. Once like we had that conversation, and it was just kind of like we left that in that conversation, just saying, "Hey, all right. We both put our cards on the table, but we both put our I don't have any other way to say that. Well, I dislike it.
I said for you to go pray about it because I told you where I was mentally.
No, that's not how it went. The attitude is not what it was. So that's why I started saying it. Let me talk. Okay. Because like, it's really emotional for her at this point. There'll be a full story later on or whatever. Maybe not.
Whatever.
So, at the end of it, we just said, okay. She explained to me where she was at. She was basically done at that point. She was mentally done with the relationship,
with the friendship,
and I was like, okay, let's go ahead and let me pray about it. She thought I wasn't gonna come get back to her. And
I didn't know what he was at that point. I was already like mentally like, if he ain't the one, he ain't the one. I'm ready to move on. Mm-hmm. So when he came back the day later, it was like, oh, I've been praying and you're the one for me. I know you wanted to tell me. You're the one for me and you're everything. When I look back and things that I prayed for you, da 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 da, and I'm like,
yeah, itemized. God had me pray for my wife, and all the things that He had me
years
pray
before
for.
we met.
Yeah, like no, I think we met.
Yeah,
we had met. We were friends. No, it wasn't. It was like, so God would have me pray because I got the idea because just some things were the conversations that we had. So I would pray for my wife, and God had me very specifically write down things to pray for,
like that matched her characteristic.
And then, that who she is, what she's, what she loves, and like just kind of prophesying over her and like speak like God had already created her to be those things. God created you to be those things, and He wanted me to continue to speak that to Him, to be in that cycle. So like
just kind of like your prayer was more like a
so my prayer it matched up very specifically to what to who you were, and I didn't have to pray very long. I just had to look back at the prayer that God had me write down, and I was like, okay, God, everything is matching. So I might as well just go ahead and do it. And then I prayed, I worshiped, and then the next day I sent you a heartfelt voice message.
You did. Which you told me to delete, and then you sent me another one.
Because it wasn't right. It wasn't right. You know how when you're in the moment and you wanted to be right, you're like, hey, babe, crap. Oh,
and then he texts me, he's like, delete it. I'm going to send you another one. And then he sent me another one. I didn't delete the first one. I had both.
Wow.
I had both of them.
The truth comes out. So, yeah. We're dating now.
So,
at that point.
We're dating. Last time we talked about some of the triggers that we experience in our friendship. What are some new challenges or new issues that came up through us now dating?
You go.
Me? Oh, okay. You did just spend a long time talking about how amazing I am and how I match his list to God, his prayer.
If I deny that,
you
then
can't deny it.
So you just have me
in the corner.
Yeah, man, I don't like that.
Okay. So I would say for me, I told y'all last time, I had a blocking finger that was quick. With dating, you can't do that. You can't You can.
It's a possibility.
You can, but it just wasn't something that I wanted to bring into the relationship.
Yeah.
So when we had conflict or when I felt emotionally vulnerable, I couldn't just cut him off to go deal with it by myself. And for me, that's a challenge. Another challenge was that now I went from this guy being my friend to now this, because we started our dating relationship with the idea that you are the one and we're working towards marriage.
Yeah.
So because of that, it wasn't just like dating to see how this goes. It was dating to forever, with the purpose of forever. Yeah. So because of that, I told you guys I have this fear of abandonment. Now I have to factor this person into my life as a forever factor. And that was scary for me. But also, man, if I ever had to leave him because of something, it would be really difficult. So that made me feel very vulnerable. So, because in my mind, in every relationship, I'm always thinking about what is the exit? What is my deal breaker? Whether it's a friendship or whatever it is, whether it's a job, whatever it is, I'm always okay leaving things behind. And I'm always okay breaking things off. So this is a first for me.
Yeah.
What about for you?
Some challenges that I'm still kind of chewing on what you just said.
Mm-hmm. What is it about what I just said?
I was just thinking about all the times I've pushed those boundaries of like, just very simple, because you're like, one time you're a private person and me saying something that we agreed on, and we didn't necessarily say we were going to say it to other people, and I ended up texting somebody about it.
What? When did this happen?
I don't know, when we were dating.
About what?
I don't know. You don't remember like details for real.
Okay.
So it was like, but I remember in the when you were upset about it, you were saying this is things that I would cut people off for. And I was like, oh, okay.
I said that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like something I would say.
Exactly.
I just don't remember the exact situation.
Yeah, so like, yeah, you said this is something I would cut people off for.
That's
like,
true.
Okay.
There's a lot of things I would cut people off for, so it could be any number of situations.
So like, I just thought about like pushing those boundaries, like, and you like having to come back.
What about for you? What are some challenges for you?
Challenges for me? You're closer now, and I didn't know you can get closer.
Yeah.
You are close, like, you're closer emotionally, like, okay, we're gonna get married. What does that look like? What does a husband look like? Who do I look to that's a good husband that I would want to talk to? Then we found mentors. So we'll talk about that in a second, but like, then it's just like, oh, why is she so close? I hate people getting this close. Now it's not necessarily abandonment. It's like, you're going to force me to care and you are going to hurt me. Those are like, in succession, those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
You're forcing me to care. It's like, just like when the first time I told you I love you when we were just friends.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you so close? I hate that I love you. I don't like people being this close, because that makes me have to care, and that means you're going to hurt me, and like, you have the access to hurt me. Yeah. And I'm good on that. So that's kind of like the foundation of all of my challenges. So like, it would manifest in different ways, but like, very specifically, is like, you're too close, and why did I'm upset at myself for letting you get this close, and then I'm upset that you're there. Yeah. So all my stuff was just, yeah, that was the main thing.
And the thing about you, like, you know, as opposed to me, where I'm always looking for exit signs, the thing about you is that you, like, once you're in, you're in. Yeah. You know, whether you like it or not, you are in.
Exactly.
and that's not me. I'm in with, and there's like, you know, that red exit sign. I'm in, but I need to see an exit. You know, I need to see an exit sign there. So,
you starting to panic when you don't see the exit sign?
Well, no, actually. And we're going to talk about that in our marriage. But in the dating, like, I have certain things that would make me leave. You know, it's cheating and it's domestic abuse. Those are my two rules. Cheating and domestic abuse. So so in my mind, it's like, it's kind of like this weird thing where, like, I would remind myself, okay, like, if he ever did any of those. Like when I feel you so close to me, it's like almost I need to remind myself that like if any of those things were to occur, I would leave. Like almost to let you know, like you do have access to me, but not so much access that I would hurt myself so that you would stay like in my life. And I needed to remind myself that so that I could feel like I had a sense of like control, you know? So does that make sense?
Yeah. It's interesting though.
Yeah. And I am one of those people that believe that even though I don't believe that God wants or created people to have divorce, but because people are broken and we're flawed, we do things that would warrant divorce. So that would deserve divorce. So God's idea of marriage was created with two people who had not sinned. But when sin entered the world, Moses, even in his law, allowed divorce. So when sin entered the world, we had the opportunity to divorce. So in my mind, I know it's like I'm going all biblical and theological, but basically, like I needed to remind myself that even though this feels so amazing, this feels so good, but I'm dealing with a human being who could possibly hurt me at any point. So I needed to remind myself that no one would ever have that much power over me that if they hurt me in either of those two ways, that I would stay. Because I've seen both of those things.
Okay.
In my life, in my family. So it's my no.
Okay. That's healthy. Yeah.
It is, but also
there's a side of it that
it's healthy, but yeah.
Next question. What we got? Next question.
Oh.
Boundaries in the terms of sex.
Oh yeah, boundaries. So
I want to talk.
Go ahead, talk. I did just finish talking.
Okay, so as soon as we started dating, God told me, actually told us separately that of course we're Christians, so we not having sex before marriage. But what are some boundaries before, so we don't get to that point? So God was telling us that we weren't going to kiss before marriage.
Okay.
He was telling me. He told me not to kiss you. That's what okay. you want to get. I don't know what you got to say.
I would say that when I was like a teenager and I had imagined, what this relationship, when I was naive and I was like, I had listened to somebody saying how they didn't kiss before marriage, and I was like, oh, that's great. I would like that. But by the time it was time to date Alex, I was questioning that. I was like, God, I don't think that's necessary anymore. I think we got this. I think this is great. And then Alex comes to me and say, hey, I've been praying about it, and this is the boundaries. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt some type of way. Like I felt like God went behind my back and went to talk to Alex when I was already having conversations with God, letting him know, hey, I'm not feeling this boundary anymore.
I have my own relationship.
And I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. And God was kind of went behind my back.
Yeah.
Was it difficult for you?
Yeah, because you kept trying, man. You kept, oh my gosh, you kept like, okay, you know how like the...
Okay, I need you to explain what trying is, because I don't want them to get the wrong idea.
Okay. So we have, the most we were doing at the time was hugs. So we were having hugs.
Yes.
We would have, exactly. You see that face?
For those who are watching the video.
Yeah. So the most we would be doing is hugs at that point. They would be extra long. I'm not touching any certain body parts. I'm not going deeper, like lower than the small of her back. I'm keeping my hands where I need to, because I don't want, you know what I'm saying? I've dealt with pornography, I've dealt with lust, and I've dealt with those things. I just don't want to deal with it.
And you unlike me, you've had like
other sexual partners,
yeah.
Right. So at that point, I'm like, okay, nah. I don't want to do it, and I don't want to mess up this thing, because like if this is going to be our marriage, if this is gonna like, I want to be able to do it walking in clean.
He had a lot of self-control, and he was the moral center of our abstinence.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, you know, I was not. I was not. I did not have the same thoughts as Alex. I was just thinking to myself, you know, like, you know, don't you want this?
If Alex falls, then I'm in.
I mean, basically, it's kind of funny because I prayed before even meeting Alex. I was like, I prayed that to have a relationship with a man who had like self-control. And then when he had the self-control, I was a little tested a little bit. I wasn't leaning in for a kiss. Well, actually, I did a couple
Twice.
times.
More than twice.
Okay, but it was unintentional, unconsciously.
The funny thing about it was unintentional, and that was the funniest
and
thing.
I would catch myself. I think the interesting thing about our relationship is realizing just how beautiful and natural the desire to connect physically with somebody is. And the cool thing is that our abstinence wasn't created out of shame or out of like, out of shame or out of, even though we weren't kissing, it would sound strict to other people. Yeah. It sounds like very legalistic, but actually it really wasn't that. We had some really great conversations about sex, about and meanwhile I was also just learning. I was reading this book, multiple books actually, just learning about like, female sexuality, just really like growing in this like positive attitude towards sex and sexuality. So it wasn't shameful, it wasn't legalistic. I tried him a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I tested the boundaries.
I tried. So basically, if she would be walking in front of me, she would just stop and want me to walk into her. I got really good at like side swiping her and like doing all of this because like I wasn't hugging her from the back. Like
I would just accidentally like fall backwards if he was behind me, just to get a little contact.
No.
He got good to the point when we started.
We were in marriage.
We were married. His defenses were still up. Yeah. Which is great. A couple of times I pushed the limit, and he would, talk to me afterward and say, hey, the limit was really pushed, and la da 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 da, and I would feel kind of sad, but like, okay. I would feel bad that you were so.
I carried this. I carried this
reactionary to my attempts, but yeah, you definitely carried us. You carried us. We never, and you know what? We never actually crossed those. We pushed. I pushed. But we never actually crossed those lines, and which was kind of interesting. And the cool thing is that even looking back at it, like I feel it was still, there's like this beauty in the abstinence because we were able to work things out. Yeah. A lot of emotional things.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, because I feel like if we had the ability to, or if we had, even not even from a religious standpoint, just from a practical standpoint, because there are people who practice abstinence who are not Christians, who don't do it for a religious reason. You really feel the difference in building intimacy, and we built intimacy. We are already like intimate from our friendship, but like the level through which we reach emotional maturity in our dating is exponentially because we weren't having sex. Because there's a couple of times where I'm like, man, if I could just have sex right now, I feel like we would just fix this. This argument maybe because of sexual frustration. I've thought this a couple of times, but then after we got through the other end of it, it was like, no, we needed to talk this out. We needed to work through this.
Like, this is what boundaries look like. And then there was no possible way for us not to try to solve everything with sex. Like literally, we would have conversations, and then like it would be the cherry on top would be okay. Boom, we're gonna have sex after this. I would have tried to sidestep a lot of things, so we can just, you know what, let's just have sex. Well, maybe we'll talk about it later, and then we'll just keep having sex, and then we won't talk about it because like I was avoiding a lot of things.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, it would be at my
Detriment.
no, it would be me initiating, being like, okay, just wanting. I think it would just be a way for me to run away from like the intensity or the vulnerability, or sometimes just to solidify the intimacy. Like, you know, after we had a really great intimate conversation, like, oh, it would be nice if we could just, you know, if we could solidify it, you know.
Okay.
I would say like for us specifically, we didn't have any healthy role models for marriage, and those are specifically connected to our own family trauma. My dad never married my mom, but he had 3 kids with her, so I never saw that with my parents. And then other marriages I saw didn't appear healthy to me, or just were toxic, or
I just ain't want nobody marriage. Like I would look at other people and I'm like,
yeah,
no, I'm good.
Nothing was like appealing.
Yeah.
And your parents divorced?
My parents
right?
divorced when I was 11 or 12, 5th grade. I don't know. And I never saw them hug, never saw them kiss. All I knew is them arguing. I didn't want that. So that's kind of where that was my first example. And then I would just look around at other marriages and I was like, I don't like the way y'all communicate. I don't like it's just like I don't like nothing y'all got going on.
Yeah.
So until we started intentionally looking at other marriages and like seeing, you know, this podcast and like other like books and like even in our own church, like we have marriage mentors.
We did, and I really appreciate them. And they weren't that much older than us. They I think they were married like 5 or 7 years when they started being our mentor, but they were a marriage that we admired, and that was enough.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't need to be married for 20 years, but the fact that they were married and they had a healthy and just authentic connection, and that was so important to us. And we met with them together, but also the wife followed up with me and the husband followed up with Alex. And throughout the 2 years of us dating, it wasn't every years? It was about like a year, 9 months, babe.
That's wild.
Yeah. Throughout that time of us dating, it wasn't every week, but it was fairly consistent enough where we knew we had somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And it was very helpful because
absolutely,
I'll tell you what, something about being in a relationship brought out
the ugly
anger.
Okay.
In me. I just found myself just being like really angry at Alex about certain things where I felt like you should understand, especially like boundaries with like the opposite sex, that kind of stuff. That I would, but then also, and then we both at some point we both realized that we both had kind of blind spots in regards to that.
Yeah.
How we interact with the opposite sex. And that was very interesting for me, just realizing that like we can have an issue and we can talk through it and work it out, and realizing that at the end of the day that he loves me and I love him, and then working through issues.
Working through the issues. Oh man. I'm just thinking about a couple of nights of like just like being so angry or so upset. It was like, I can't talk to you right now, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Yeah.
And then a couple of nights where it's like, I'm so upset, I'm so angry, you not getting off the phone until I feel better.
Make up your mind, woman. Oh my gosh.
So,
but
yeah.
I'm glad that we had, like, I'm so grateful to God for our journey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like so grateful for like just the way that God put it together, because
Mm-hmm.
it couldn't have been done no other way. Because if oh my God, if it would have been like any misstep, any like any other way would have been a derailment to like my personal growth, your personal growth, to like our future generations, the people that we're going to be ministering to, the people that we're discipling, like,
or even just like, we would never have been in a relationship if the trajectory of friendship to dating didn't happen. Because I don't think I would have ever trusted you. I had a lot of barriers, and I've had them as a kid. Always had a lot of barriers in regards to men. So we never would have even gotten together, and much less married, without that trajectory.
Yeah, it's just the foundation.
The foundation of it, for sure. And some of the things that we worked on in terms of like addressing our trauma helped in the dating relationship.
Yeah. And then the things that we worked on in a dating relationship is now helping in our marriage. In our marriage, yeah. Which is the next thing we're going to talk about. Yay! Absolutely. Transition.
So our next episode is going to be, what's it like being married to? And
it gets deeper.
It gets deeper.
I didn't think it could.
That's the weird thing, is like the level of intimacy just like deepens and deepens. I already, when we were friends, felt like I had never felt this vulnerable with somebody before, and then we dated and I'm like, oh, gutting me. It was emotionally like, ugh. And then now we're married, it's like, you're in the same house as me.
He's wearing my skin as a jacket.
What? Sounds like a horror movie. Wearing your skin as a jacket. Have I murdered you?
You're just inside of me. Like,
have I skinned you?
I'm still alive and beating. Like, my heart is beating, but you're just here. You're here in my house.
I just can't get the image of me wearing your skin. It's very, very disturbing, babe.
All right.
I can't get out of it.
All right. Get out of there. Get out.
Okay. What cartoon, either movie or TV show that you had a crush on?
Cartoon?
Yes. Movie or TV show?
I can't say that on camera.
Why not? No judgment here.
It's not judgment. It's like, I was going to say Jessica Rabbit, but like, as a man,
it's a little cliche, but okay, go ahead.
But as a man, hey,
oh, I'm sorry. I just said no judgment, and I judged you.
Immediately.
No judgment.
So I was gonna say Jessica Rabbit, but then like Lola Bunny.
Lola Bunny
from the Space Jam.
Oh, yeah. Really? Okay.
Uncliched, homie.
Okay, so
they're both rabbits, so they're both rabbits of some sort. Lola Bunny, Jessica Rabbit. They all had like, well, she was a human, but like she was. All right, go ahead.
We'll talk about this off camera. Mine was a human.
Okay.
Again, more judgment.
All right. All right. I don't feel safe here. I don't feel safe.
So mine was from Anastasia, the Disney movie, the dude Dimitri.
I've never seen that movie.
Okay, but here's what I liked about him. He was a con man at first, right? He was a con man at first, really wanting to, I just liked, and then he had the hair that was flowing in his face. I just had a little thing for him. I had multiple cartoon and TV crushes throughout the day. I did have a thing for Aladdin, but eventually I realized that Aladdin and I were meant to be just friends. We weren't meant to be more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I see judgment in your face.
There's no judgment at all.
But I would say the one that I really remember is Dimitri from Anastasia.
Meant to be just friends.
Aladdin and I friend zone Aladdin. What can I say?
He had a magic carpet, Grace. Was he actually a prince? He has to be a prince. Was he actually a prince, or was he just had the princely robes?
I think he was a prince.
Like his like wish was to make me a prince.
Yeah.
So where's his kingdom?
I don't know.
That's wild.
Well, we'll catch you guys next time.
All right.
When we talk about our marriage. Peace out.
And
A-town,
Aladdin.
Downtown, low town.
Around town. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please download our app and subscribe to us on YouTube.
Our YouTube page is called My Black Therapy TV. You can also find us on Facebook under My Black Therapy LLC, and our Instagram, which is @official My Black Therapy.
You can also support us on Patreon just by searching My Black Therapy.
Or going to patreon.com/My Black Therapy.